Focus is everything. This is something that's a recurring theme that I like to talk about for you guys that are joining, that are especially who are new. One of the things that, if you've been around long enough and you found me on YouTube, it's likely you found other insurance gurus on YouTube as well, that maybe they do the same thing. Maybe they do something differently. Maybe they do the same business model, but they approach it differently with a different script, or maybe they think another way to do the business is the better way. And the problem that we have is it's very easy nowadays to lose the most valuable and very important character trait, which is the ability to say yes to one thing continuously over a long period of time and say no to everything else. To me, that is the definition of focus. Being able to know what's important and then decide every single day, not just one time, but every moment in time, to continuously commit to that particular strategy and direction. And that's the thing about this business. We're in a standpoint in our business to where, we have choices, but there's an illusion with choice, that more choice means better circumstances. Not necessarily. There's probably a point where that peaks, but then too many choices is bad. It confuses. And when people get confused, they don't take action. So some advice kind of getting started. For those of you getting started, my hope is that you've made a decision to be committed to the final expense business. Okay. And when you're committed to something, just like say a marriage, you're committed to the good and the bad and the ugly, right? It's not just the making money. It's being told no. It's having bad days as well as the good days. You have to be through it in the thick and the thin. And so that's the reality of this business. Just because you have rough times in your business doesn't mean that the business isn't right for you. I knew an agent locally here that I thought the world of, very talented gentleman, about 10 years older than me, had been in the business for 17 years as an insurance agent, but never really had any sort of significant success. I would define that in the insurance business as making a net income of $100,000 or greater. That to me is the litmus test. And he had spent all these years accumulating knowledge, but not in a focused sense. He would do, for example, mortgage protection. And then when he got kind of in the thick of it there, he'd pivot to final expense. And then he'd pivot to Medicare. But he never really committed himself through the hard times in each of those business models to accumulate the knowledge, the skill set, and the ability to get anything higher than really just average. So he'd spent all these years in this business, 17, 18, in fact. And he really was just kind of had 17 years of experience, but was still a beginner. The last thing that you guys want to do is be in that position. I'm not saying that you have to go out there and like make millions of dollars. That's not, we all have our goals and that's fine. But final expense is good enough. You can do very well in this business just writing final expense, even though we talk about Medicare, et cetera. That comes later and it's an option, but it's not a requirement. You got to be committed to this. And it's more important to be fully committed in the beginning than it is, well, it's always important to be focused, but it's really, really important right there in the beginning. Because as soon as you think you can also add in ACA, or you can also add in Medicare, or you can also add in annuities. I mean, before you even walk out the door and sell anything with final expense, you're now making the simple complex. And again, added complexity increases the failure rate. So what do? Put your blinders on. Kind of talked about this yesterday. Decide what it is you want to be. That's really what it comes down to. And it's easier said than done, right? Because we always have what ifs, right? But decide what you want out of this business. What do you want to, where do you want to be in a year from now? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? Kind of envision it in your mind and set forth and going in that direction. And I'll tell you, this is, as somebody where I'm at in my life, this is something where I'm still plagued with this. I could do this or I could do that. I could get into this line of business or I could do that. Like it's something that will always be kind of a part of the process of your own personal growth in the business, is reanalyzing and recommitting yourself consistently. I think it helps too. Just a few more things here before we wrap this part of the training up. I have this goal book. I've showed this sometimes. This is a nice leather bound Lemome book, Lemome. And this is where for the past couple of years, I've written my goals down here. Whenever I get frustrated, I write down some stuff, like, okay, what it is I want to do in this business? What are my ideas? What matters to me? And I kind of always go back for me, the secret is writing it down and kind of taking these like swirling thoughts in my mind and putting it on paper and reassessing what the importance is and where the priorities are. And again, don't say you have to do that, but it helps me because I'm like everybody else. Like there's so much opportunity in this world, especially in the insurance business, especially when things get tough for a lot of people right now. It really hasn't changed for us. And we got to keep our eye on the ball, lest we lose focus and lose out in the opportunity.